As if Biden isn't pissing off enough people on his own home soil. No, he's going to try to saber rattling with China once again. I'm not worried about a possible armed conflict with China, even though they're stockpiling missiles and nukes and making hypersonic missiles. But don't worry, the United States Air Force or the military in general are creating their own hypersonic, I don't know, munitions. Is that the proper terminology? I'm sure we could ask Joe, but he wouldn't know either. He'd just mutter something into his alphabet cereal. But no, he's not worried about a possible armed conflict with China because he'd never have to take up arms anyways because he can barely take up his own arms. This is fine because, like I've been pointing out lately, China's not exactly the strongest nation. Okay, they aren't quite as strong as they want you to believe, which is good for right now because there's not really anybody who's in a good position to be fronting an air of dominance, put it that way. President Joe Biden has brushed off concerns about possible armed conflict with China, saying that he has made clear to Chinese officials that relationships with that relationship is one of the competition rather than conflict. Yeah, we're just trying to enrich the Chinese because it's cheaper to get our stuff built over there. And if we can import, that means better things so we can lower our emissions so we don't have to manufacture so much because climate and stuff. Let me fall asleep again. I'm getting tired. I'm worried about an armed conflict or some that accidentally occurring with China. No, I'm not, because we don't have the button or the nuclear football anymore. I think Kamala's sitting on it. Biden said he was conveying the message in past phone conversations with Xi Jinping that this is competition. It doesn't have to be conflict. I'm sure he's like, ha ha ha, very nice. And he said that he's going to be holding a virtual summit with Xi by the end of the year. But he hasn't really put a date on it, kind of like his follow-up press conference from the one that he held in March, something like that, April. There is no reason. There needs to be conflict, of course. But I've also indicated to him, and I'm not reluctant to say it publicly, that we expect him to play by the rules of the road. Yeah, obviously. The United States won't change our attitude on certain issues, such as what constitutes international airspace, international sea lanes, sorry. I'm not looking for, I don't anticipate there will be a need for physical conflict. All right. My dad had oh my god, he's having an old man moment. At least they caught it in print. My dad had an expression. He said, 2 in the hand is worth 1 in the bush, and don't count your chickens before they hatch, and a dollar earned is a dollar saved, and make sure you pay your taxes. Oh no, I'm sorry. The only conflict worse than the one that's intended is one that's unintended. I'm sure your father said that all the time, Joe. Thanks for sharing. He said, adding that he will use the virtual summit to make sure that there's no misunderstandings. Go fuck yourself. What does China have to say? America is the laughingstock of democracy. That is a horrifying picture that I love, and I'm going to have to save after I'm done recording. China's Global Times, a government-run propaganda newspaper, mocked America as the laughingstock of democracy. I hate having to be in agreement with a propaganda newspaper, especially one run by the CBC. Freudian slip. The CCP. But hey, when you're true, you're true. On Wednesday, and warned U.S. elites were the world's biggest threat to democracy. Again, stop making good points. In reality, a Freedom House study published this year found China was single-handedly causing the global decline in freedom and respect for human rights through its outsized economic and diplomatic influence. It just sounds like a bunch of cope to me. The Global Times article did not address China's role on the world stage as a prominent enemy of democracy. It instead focused on the results of a global poll published by Pew Research Center this week that found a decline in the number of Americans who considered their country a good political role model. Foreigners also appeared to agree in the nations surveyed. Few believe U.S. democracy, at least in the current state, serves as a good model for other nations. A median of just 17%. A Chinese CCP-funded study found that 17% say democracy in the United States is a good example for others to follow. Again, citing a Pew Research poll. Okay, I'm sure that these numbers aren't twisted or anything like that. Couldn't possibly be the case. while 57% said that it's used as a good example, but it has not been in recent years. All right. Americans largely shared the views that their democracy is no longer the model. Okay, 72% say U.S. democracy used to be a good example for others to follow, but has not been recently. How recently? Like 10 months recently? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. I might agree. The study also found that American popular culture and entertainment still receives near universal praise. Those people should be shot. For the comment, suggesting that outsiders see American politics as separate from its culture. What? Okay, so outsiders are fucking retarded. Again, no further comment. And generally like the latter. They like whatever they think American culture is at this point, because it's just clearly hyper politicized at this point. People who note it and comment on it on a daily basis. But again, the Global Times did not mention this part of the study. Of course not. The U.S. is no longer the beacon of democracy but becoming more like a laughingstock of democracy, the Global Times declared. If people around the world are asked to list recent achievements of the United States, they may need some time before naming one or two. Fortifying elections. There we go. It didn't take very long, because America's at the forefront of that. Definitely. 100%. However, if the question of the problem of U.S. democracy cases roll off the tongue, nah, man, we got the most popular and powerful president of all time, who runs the most open, honest, and transparent administration of all time. But again, okay, we continue to run this down, and I think once again Breitbart's kind of missing the point. Again, they post a regular column from Ann Coulter. As much as I use them, there's of course faults in every single outlet that I like to use on a regular basis, and that's just Breitbart's here. Okay, oh, see, even China's making fun of us. Don't take advice from somebody who you wouldn't take criticism from. Reverse that statement. At least that's the traditional usage for it. But again, this is a propaganda piece. Why would you be trying to rebuke this, okay? Other than just for the obvious clickbait nature of it. But China doesn't want the betterment of anybody. This is just one of those things where it's like, our nearest competitors, okay, still the top dog in the world, even as bad as it has been run over the past 10 months, okay? It's still better than China. Every measurable metric, okay, of the things that matter, it is better than China, okay? But why do they have to continue to go on these rants? Because China's not in a position of strength, okay? Listen, this is what they just had to fucking do, okay? Just showing you both sides of the coin when it comes to Breitbart. China tells local officials to hoard food, triggering a crazy panic buying. Yep. You might think that Joe Biden's in control of that supply chain, but where do you think all of that product comes from, okay? And why don't they have any of it? Chinese Ministry of Commerce on Monday evening posted a website notice advising families to store a certain amount of daily necessities as needed to meet daily life and emergencies. All right. The message also instructed local officials to create stockpiles of perishable goods and beef up their emergency distribution networks. Chinese officials hastily backpedaled from the notice after it prompted a wave of panic buying across the nation. Okay, only some people though. Don't worry about the rest of them. As soon as this news came out, all the old people near me went crazy panic buying in the supermarket. One observer noted on Weibo, China's version of Twitter, where Elon Musk posts some very interesting commentary, okay? There's a reason I don't hold him up as being any sort of visionary, because he'll sell out to the highest bidder. Don't worry about it. Other Chinese internet users speculated the Ministry of Commerce notice was a harbinger of some impending disaster the Chinese Communist Party has been concealing from its subjects. Food shortages caused by inclement weather, a surge of coronavirus infections, an economic meltdown, or even military action against Taiwan. I can't speak to most of that, but as for an economic meltdown, we pointed it out before, okay? And I don't see a lot of people talking about it, so we got a reprint from the Associated Press. China's economy slows as Beijing wrestles with debt. China's broke, okay? They've extended themselves too far on investments that didn't pay off, and Now they're starting to look like even more of a paper tiger. Okay, this is good news. Okay, this is very, very good news. China's economic rebound from the coronavirus pandemic is stalling as President Xi Jinping's government cracks down on surging corporate debt. For a decade, the ruling Communist Party has talked about shifting the economy based on spending by 1.4 billion consumers instead of on building factories and apartments. But with each slowdown, Beijing fell back on pepping up growth with more construction and borrowing. Of course, finally, Xi's government is confronting the problem by clamping down on borrowing by a real estate industry that supports millions of jobs. That is sending shockwaves through the economy. Businesses and households are jittery as housing sales and construction slumps. That is chilling auto and retail sales. It is possible global repercussions as China buys less steel, and you won't be able to get the helpful coal out of Canada because we're going to be stopping that by the year 2030. All right, whatever. And other building materials. Weird, because remember another complaint levied against Trump? Oh, he's building all of his real estate, okay? The stuff that he's using, it all comes from China. Yeah, but China can't get their own steel. The fuck is the problem here? Many customers would like to wait and see, said Lang Kim. Sure, a salesman for online real estate broker 5i5j. All right. And Nanjing, a southern provincial capital that has turned into a boom town by a flurry of construction over the past 2 decades. China became the world's factory, but the bigger power driving the economic boom was a construction frenzy that took off in the late 90s. Yeah, propping up all of these ghost towns that are having to be demolished because nobody lives there. And it's just another example of central planning. Okay, yeah, build all of these buildings, create all of these government jobs that eventually nobody's going to use, and then they're just these beautiful cities and these beautiful places that never get filled because you're constantly just having to put people to work over and over again doing the same shit because you never teach anybody to be anything more than what you tell them to be. Once again, whenever you get a communist overstate, okay, whenever that happens and they start to run into certain troubles, okay, whether it be economic, societal, what have you, anything that happens, they start to consolidate power, which ends up just being another step towards just ultimate collapse. Happened with the Soviet Union, happened with Venezuela. Okay, there's multiple other examples of this happening. Whenever they decide to just close inward and centralize more and give themselves more power, they never know how to properly wield it. And it just collapses the economy, and it just hastens the downfall. And if this is what happens, if this ends the 100-year reign of the CCP, I couldn't be happier, okay? Because the people of China deserve a better government. Hell, everybody around the world deserves a better government. One that, you know what? Hey, I will go ahead and I'll take a page out of the socialist book right now. Okay, just easy. Calm down, okay? I'm not going to champion the virtues of socialism. Definitely not. I'm not that fucking dense. No, I'm just going to say be more like those Scandinavian countries that get propped up ever so often. Be more like Sweden. Be more like Finland. Be more like Denmark. Be more like Norway, okay? Just let people be in control of their own lives. I'll just go ahead and extrapolate that out a little bit further when it comes to public health and safety. But we can be more like them. Might have a shot at this in the future. So don't be too terribly scared about what is going on with stupid China right now, because they ain't as strong as they think they are. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.